Welcome to Augustana Sports Scene. It's your weekly look inside Augie Athletics, and I'm your host, Carla Metz. Well, the start of February means that we've only got a few more weeks until the NSIC basketball tournament. Taking a look back at the month of January, the men's basketball team went undefeated, winning all 10 of their games with recent wins against the University of Mary and Minot State. The women's team also finished the month well, going 7-3, also getting 2 wins this past weekend. The Augustana wrestling team only has 4 more duels until they host the NCAA Super Region 3 tournament, and they split this past weekend with a win against MSU Moorhead and a loss against Minnesota State. On this episode, we're going to talk with Coach Billiter, Coach Krauth, and Coach Reitmeyer, but before we do, let's take a look back at this past week's highlights. The women's basketball team started out the weekend with a win against U Mary, but the win didn't come without a challenge. The Marauders shot 51% in the first half and ended the second quarter on a 22-6 run, going into the break with the lead 40-25. The Vikings would make their comeback in the third quarter, erasing the 15-point deficit, tying the game at 50, and they found the lead in the fourth after Sydney Rome put up a 3 from Paige Peterson. Augie would continue sinking shots, shooting 50% from the field in the fourth quarter, and they would go on to win 85-73. Their high shooting percentage would become important in their matchup with Minot State as well. The Vikings put up 10 three-pointers, finishing 53% from behind the arc and 57% from the field. Augustana went into the half with a 22-point lead. The Beavers would try to make a comeback in the fourth quarter, but didn't get any closer than 11 points. Sydney Rome led the Vikings with 12 points and 4 assists, and Logan O'Farrell would add 10 points of her own as Augie rolled past Minot State 87-70. The men's basketball team took 2 more wins this weekend against U Mary and Minot State, but the battle with the Marauders was a bit of a scare. The Vikings started out strong, taking a 54-35 lead at the half, shooting 56% in field goals and 42% from the three. The second half is where U Mary found their rhythm. They cut the lead to 2 after going on a 23-13 run, but they weren't able to get any closer than 2. Alex Richter would sink 2 free throws, and that would spark a 10-7 run in the final 3 minutes. The Vikings escaped the Marauders 80-87. The Vikings fell behind 5 points in their game against Minot State, but a corner 3 by Tanner Ogard would create some momentum. They shot 57% in the first half alone, taking a 50-29 lead at the half. And they continued shooting lights out in the second, going 35 of 67 and hitting 44% from the three-point line. Casey Schilling led the Vikings with 22 points. Alex Richter and Daniel Jansen also added a combined 30 points of their own to help give the Vikings the victory, 97-65. And when we return, we're going to catch up with Coach Billiter about those 2 games and what the month of February has in store for his team. We'll be right back.
Being part of a great team means you know your role and you work your role to the best of your ability. If you're consistently going to show up and be your best, you're going to be part of that team. You can see the success they have over time. It's not just 1 year flash in the pan. It's consistent success over time, which makes them great. And that's where the work ethic comes in. The ability to come into work, do the same thing repeatedly day after day after day, and putting your best foot forward is going to separate you from the rest.
Choose the experts. Choose Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
You want more from your home improvement store? Don't waste your entire weekend wandering through a maze of aisles and crowds trying to find some newbie big box store employee who's avoiding you and your questions like Bigfoot avoids photographers. Head to Schoenemann's instead, where you'll find answers and everything you need without the hassle, hoopla, and headaches. From questions to complete projects, look to the experts at Schoenemann's, Sioux Falls, and Harrisburg.
The Volkswagen Passat Limited Edition. Dollar for dollar, it's an amazing value. Let's add up the worth of its standard features, like a rear-view camera, keyless access, heated front seats, and more.
But what really tips the scales is that you get all this value for this surprisingly low price. That's $1,200 in savings. I usually hate being on scales, but this is nice.
At Graham Automotive, West 41st Street, Sioux Falls, or online at grahamvw.com.
Welcome back to Augustana Sports Scene. The men's basketball team keeps rolling and are now on a 19-game winning streak and are still undefeated in the NSIC. The games this past weekend were both very different in nature, even though the team was able to come away with both wins. Here's Bill Gross and Coach Billiter to talk about the matchups against UMary and Minot State.
Thanks, Carla. And with me now is Augustana men's basketball coach Tom Billiter. Well, Tom, before we get into the depth of the games here, the Vikings, for the first time in school history, #1 in the nation during the regular season. I know you're going to downplay this, but it's really quite an honor for the school and your program, out of 304 Division II schools, to be #1 in the country.
Well, I appreciate that. You being a former coach, I know, obviously it's something you always hope to attain, to be, recognized in that position, but that's all it is. It's a recognition. It really doesn't mean much. I do think it helps the school. We're getting, some very good positive publicity out of that, and I do think it helps in fundraising. Your newest,
right?
Yes, your new
it doesn't
frontier.
hurt,
No,
me.
but I think, still it's game to game, and obviously everyone's going to play their best against you. And what a weekend we have coming up, because we're going to be on the road for the next 4 games, and all 4 teams we're playing are definitely going to want to beat us. Trust me, it's going to be a heck of a next 2 weeks.
Okay, let's get back to earth then. Last weekend, 2 great games for fans anyway, not so great maybe for the coach all along, because there's always a lot of pressure. You get everybody's best shot when you're the #1 team. But the Vikings, 2 games. Let's start with Mary. Got out to a big first half, second half. Mary's a good team. They beat Moorhead and they came back.
No doubt, and they are a very good team, and a weird game. We got up early, 19 at a half, and it was a funny, it was kind of interesting. Even a couple of my seniors talked to me after the game, and they were like, "Coach, we could feel it in the locker room. It was just, we could feel that we were just flat, that it was almost like when we played that half." And throughout the year we've had 2 pretty good halves, and we've always had those leads, and this time it was just unique, and it was like the first 6-7 minutes of the second half, neither team was making baskets or doing anything. It wasn't like Mary all of a sudden jumped us. They just kind of kept it at 19, 17, and then about the 13-minute mark, it started heading south. It got down to 14-12, and then on a turnover, Ricky Suggs went the opposite end and had a very nice finish, and all of a sudden it's 10, and it was a game. And before it was all said and done, it's down to 2. And then luckily Dan and Casey went to work a little bit, and I think we scored, 6 or 8 straight or something, got it back up to about 10, and ended up winning by 7. They put one back in at the buzzer. But, compliment Mary for playing very well, and us not having a good second half. Played well the first half, but the second half we were not very good.
Well, it was a great crowd at the arena, over 3,000, and fans I think get a little spoiled sometime and think that you're going to beat everybody by 30. You're always going to get that best shot. The other thing, fans, we're on interim break. We don't have any students around, and when you need a little energy in the second half, they kind of start it for the rest of the crowd, and that's tough.
The interim break's hard because you get you get a whole nother schedule going for a month. You have class from 8 till 11 every day. It's a whole nother, it's very unique. It's good because our kids all graduate on time, so it serves a purpose, but it really gets you out of routine and your bodies get kind of funny. And like you said, now we're on the break for a few more days, so there were no classes, completely different routine. And I felt like that had something to do with it. And you and I, last year was the first year ever that I'm aware of that a team went undefeated during interim break. There's always a loss in there somewhere, and this could be 2 years in a row now that we went undefeated during interim, but every game is unique and different. Thank goodness I have upperclassmen, because they're a little more used to it, and they got a little bit of a better feel for what it's like, but it's a difficult time.
Well, in my ancient days of coaching at Augie, we had an interim break also, and we used to call it the interim blues, the dreaded interim and interim break blues, because
it's weird, isn't it?
It was such a challenge,
so
but we're through it. We start classes here this week, and back on schedule. Well, Coach, then the Minot game, I thought was an outstanding game for the Vikings.
Yeah, and it started slow, down 5-0, and Minot's been playing very well. They'd won 3 of the last 5, but they were playing well. To go up to Duluth and beat them by 30 at Duluth, and Tyler Rudolph is a really good sophomore in our league. They have a very good team. And I thought it started a little slow, but we didn't change anything. Things went well. You could tell we were clicking, just missing shots that we normally make, and had a nice lead, 50-29 at the half. And then, trust me, the night before came up, Saturday night came up at Sunday afternoon about the second half, and our guys knew to go out and try to win the first 5 minutes of the second half and build on that. And what was fun about the game, to get everybody in a chance to play. Everybody scored but Will. He had a nice look at a hook, but he missed it. He makes it in practice, but everybody got a chance to play, and it was a good team effort, and you need those. As you remember coaching, it just makes this week of practice that much better when everyone had a contribution and a chance.
Well, it's a big week for Augustana basketball. As Tom mentioned, 4 straight road games. It starts this weekend with 2 really tough ones. First at Northern and then on to MSU Moorhead, who last week was ranked number 3 in the country.
Yeah, it's going to be a great weekend of basketball. And, you know, those are good travel partners. I mean, you're 3 hours apart, 2 very good teams. Northern plays very physical. We're a team that they always, you know, play very, very well. We've beaten them, but it's always been a very close game. And then Moorhead at their place, and they're already selling it out. And you know, it'll be 5,000 probably at Aberdeen. So it'll be fun. It'll be a great weekend of basketball. It's what you work hard all year for, and we're very much looking forward to the opportunity to go play both schools.
Well, it's going to be a great weekend, fans. If you can't make it to the games, catch them on GoAugie.com. They're going to be fantastic to watch, or listen to the fabulous Jeff Filling on Kickin' 100.5.
The voice of Augie
Tom,
Athletics.
The Vikings, 19-1, 16-0 in the NSIC, number 1 in the country. Go get them this weekend.
Thanks a lot, Bill.
Back to you, Carla.
Thanks, Brad. Well, the women's basketball team also took home 2 wins this weekend as well. We're going to talk with Coach Krauth about both of those games after the break.
Moms and dads, want to make sure that your kid is prepared for school picture day? First order of business are clothes. Help them pick out clothes and colors that look good on them. Because sometimes the picture shows more than just this, you know? After all, you're going to have that picture forever. Remember, smiles are like French fries. They're better when they're fresh. Bottom line, the Life Touch team will make sure everything runs smoothly. So picture day will be fun and exciting for everybody.
Need a new water softener?
I'm on it.
Dude, don't do it yourself.
No?
No. Leave it to the experts. Just say, hey, Culligan man.
Save salt, energy, and water with a $39.95 water softener inspect and check on any brand.
The specialists are so important because they're the ones that can take your team from average to great. The guys that have their specialized roles and understand them and do them really well, those guys are hard to find. And so when you have those guys that are good at what they do and believe in what they're doing, don't care too much about who gets the credit, and want to go out and prove something, I think that that is probably the most important ingredient in a successful team.
Choose the experts. Choose Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Welcome back. The women's basketball team also had a tighter game against the University of Mary, where they were able to erase a 15-point deficit after the half to come away with a win. They also gave a strong shooting performance against Minot State, helping them end the month of January with a win. Here's Brad Peterson and Coach Krauth to dive a little bit deeper into those matchups.
All right, thanks a lot, Carla. And Dave, a huge weekend sweep at the arena before you go on a 4-game road trip, and then you'll close out in 3 weeks at home with Winona State. So, man, it's just six games left on the regular season schedule, 3 weekends left in the Northern Sun.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that, I mean, it seems to consistently give you that same feeling year after year where you're kind of looking at that long road ahead, and then pretty soon here we are, you know, coming down the stretch. And like you mentioned, it's a tough 3 weeks for us, so we're going to have to be ready to go every night and try to hold our own in this stretch.
Before we get into what happened this past weekend, regional rankings, there's a lot of clubs in there in the top 10 just here in this past week. Certainly a lot of things will shake out here in the next 3 weeks, but right now it's Augustana needing to play very well here in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, the regional rankings, I've kind of, you know, become pretty familiar with our teams in the regional, and there are just so many strong teams with real impressive records that, you know, we've got a couple for sure in our league, but at least 4 in the MIAA, and then the Great American has one really strong team, and if they'd get upset, that's going to give them 2. So there's not a lot of room in the women's regional, so it'll take a good stretch for us.
Well, this past weekend, Saturday, a win against UMary at the arena, 85-73, getting another strong second half, and I believe that second half Saturday certainly carried over on to Sunday at the arena.
Yeah, I mean, you know, whatever the explanation is with us, but I mean, we come out rather flat-footed, and I don't know if it just comes down to maybe making a couple shots early, something like that, but we just really didn't do much at all. There was not a lot of energy on the defensive end. We weren't hitting a lot of shots. We had no fast break opportunities or no fast breaks, and you know, it just feels like, you know, if we can play about as bad as possible, it seems to happen once in a while.
Well, explosion in that second half Saturday against Mary, where you put up another 60 points in a 20-minute span. In that game, though, 38 points off turnovers to just 8 for Mary. That was huge. Plus, you again converted the free throw line, 21 to 23.
Yeah, that was good. You know, we've done a good job of converting there, and you know, if we could get there even a little bit more, it would just, you know, I think that'd be a great stat for us. But you know, everything's like somebody flipped a switch at halftime of that game. And
was there anything said?
Well, you know, I mean, I pointed out a couple of the obvious things, but you know, it's just sometimes just turning on the energy and the aggressiveness, and we did you know, amp up our pressure. And in this case, you know, it was effective, and it just seemed to, you know, lead to offense, and just it was a wonderful half if you could draw it up and remember how you did it.
And Sydney Rome in the Rome zone again, 20 points, leading 4 double-figure scorers on Saturday, with Rome with 20, Nicole Kirchhoff 19, Logan O'Farrell 18, and Sophie Kenny pulling up with 10 points.
Yeah, we had, you know, we didn't have anybody that was thinking they were a scorer in the first half, and then you know, everybody was looking for the basketball in the second half. So it went well, and you know, like I said, it's just one of those that, boy, if you could can that, you know, we'd be a pretty good team.
Well, and then Sydney, she scores 12 to lead you on Sunday, but just 12 to lead you. And you look at the score sheet and all 13, or you have 13 players score in the game on Sunday, and you still put up 87.
Yeah, no, that was really one of those. And again, you know, we have our quick turnaround in the league, and it's a 1 o'clock game on Sunday. So I'm always finding things to be apprehensive about in those situations. But we came out and, you know, just, you know, I thought did some things well. And like you mentioned, you know, I tried to sub and tried to make sure we didn't have any real exhausted kids, and the kids came off the bench and did well. Kid you won't mention, but Allie Sievert, who doesn't play much, comes in and she takes a big charge. She hits a 3, and so those things are big when your bench kids, you know, contribute like that.
Especially, I thought, with the minutes that were played on Saturday, and you had a chance to disperse them a little more on Sunday.
Yeah, and you know, I was thinking about that, and sometimes, you know, you can throw that where you want to, because it just seems like adrenaline can kick in situations, and the minutes might not matter. But you know, on average, you know, you do think that 2 long games on a weekend can be tough on a kid. So we were looking to spread them out.
Especially this time of year when you've got, again, just the 3 weekends left, and now you go 4 straight in 2 straight weekends on the road. I think Sunday's minutes, the way they were played out, I thought that was crucial for you going into this stretch.
Well, you know, I hope so. You know, we've kind of gotten to that point now where we got a couple kids that are, you know, we're always looking. They're trying to get them on the mend. Paige hurt her foot again, and so I don't know what her availability will be, you know, for a while. But yeah, all that stuff, minutes and injuries and all that, you just really think about, especially this time of year.
All right, so you go on the road. You're at Northern in Aberdeen on Friday, and then you'll be in Fargo-Moorhead on Saturday against Minnesota State Moorhead.
Both very good teams, and Northern may be the team that's been a little more surprising with their success. They've had a couple of big kids that have really stepped up that weren't real factors with their team last year. We knew their guards would be good, and then Moorhead is just a balanced, physical, aggressive team, you know, bringing everybody back from a year ago, and that's a team that's caused us a lot of problems year in and year out.
Well, it's a tough trip too, because you go and get beat up in Aberdeen on Friday, and then you have to make the trip to Fargo.
Yeah,
Right.
So it'll be a challenge.
All right, thanks a lot, Dave. Carla?
Thanks, Brad. Well, up next, we're going to have all things wrestling with Bill Gross and Coach Reitmeyer. We'll be right back after this.
You want more from your home improvement store? Don't waste your entire weekend wandering through a maze of aisles and crowds trying to find some newbie big box store employee who's avoiding you and your questions like Bigfoot avoids photographers. Head to Schoenemann's instead, where you'll find answers and everything you need without the hassle, hoopla, and headaches. From questions to complete projects, look to the experts at Schoenemann's, Sioux Falls and Harrisburg.
The Volkswagen Passat Limited Edition. Dollar for dollar, it's an amazing value. Let's add up the worth of its standard features, like a rear view camera, keyless access,
heated front seats, and more. But what really tips the scales is that you get all this value for this surprisingly low price. That's $1,200 in savings. I usually hate being on scales, but this is nice.
At Graham Automotive, West 41st Street, Sioux Falls, or online at grahamvw.com.
Welcome back. Well, it's been a while since we've taken a deeper look at the wrestling team and their season. They are now 15-3 overall and 4-1 in the conference. They did drop a match to Minnesota State this past weekend, but they also picked up a win against MSU Moorhead. For more of an update on the team and their season, we're going to turn it over to Bill Gross and Coach Reitmeyer.
Well, thanks, Carla. And with me now is Augustana wrestling coach Jason Reitmeyer. Jason, the Vikings. We're turning the page into February here. It's coming to tournament time, and Augustana's had a great year so far, 15-3 overall, 4-1 in the NSIC. To begin with, Jason, just your thoughts on the year so far. Has it been what you expected?
Well, we've been winning, I guess you could say, but we haven't wrestled particularly well. We haven't put a I guess we haven't put a consistent effort together as a full team until last Friday when we actually wrestled really well.
Yeah, well, it's a great record for the Vikings, and Jason mentioned last week, the Vikings had two tough NSIC matches. First, they went over to Minnesota State, Mankato, and right to the horn there, but came out on the short end, 19-16.
Yeah, we, you know, I put a couple different guys in the lineup here and there, and it kind of backfired on me, I thought. But overall, you know, we had a chance to win the duel at the end. We just didn't finish the matches the way we needed to in a few of them. And, you know, we got the loss, but we came back and wrestled a lot better the next day.
Yeah, that's for sure. Just before we went on the air, Jason said thought it was the best performance of the year for the team, a 33-7 win over MSU Moorhead. Yeah,
we came out and wrestled really well. We started at 174, and Tim Weber, our senior, got us going and came out with a pin, and that got the team fired up, and from there it just rolled. We got a couple more pins, some major decisions. Our 25-pounder came out, a freshman, and got a big win for us, too, down below. And then they have a really good kid at 33, and I thought David Potratz wrestled well. He got beat up by the kid, but he wrestled hard. And then at 65 was the other match where we lost, but I thought we wrestled hard and wrestled well. And we finished every duel or every match really well, I thought, that night, instead of you know, either, you know, building on a lead or trying to, you know, finish matches and win. So.
Well, super victory for the Vikings up at Moorhead. And before we went on the air also, we were talking about the fact that we've had some outstanding performances by Augustana wrestlers. Jason, kind of highlight who have been the strongest.
Well, Arrow Amo's been wrestling really well. He's 20, I think he's 24-1. His only loss.
And Arrow is at 184, right?
184, yes. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's our 84-pounder, ranks 4th in the nation right now, and he just beat the 7th-ranked guy in the nation 15-0. In the first period, so he's wrestling extremely well. He's got probably 13 falls this year, some tech falls. He's just been dominating. You know, I guess Charbonneau's been wrestling fairly well. He's been winning, not exactly the way we want him to, but he's winning matches. You know, and then our 49-pounders, we got two of them, Colin Ayers and Jacob Anderson. They've both been just wrestling really well for us. It's hard to decide which one we're going to put on the mat each night and stuff. Sean Hallstat's been consistent, starting to turn it on a little bit, a senior. And then, of course, Tim Weber's starting to look a lot better than he got hurt in the middle of the season, and that hurt him because he was wrestling really, really well before that. And then, of course, Michael Lohman's been wrestling well.
Yeah, well, fantastic. Great lineup for the Vikings, and hopefully coming down the stretch here, we're wrestling our best. And what a stretch it is. First, starting with NSIC matches, the Vikings have 3 left. Minot here at the Elman Center on Friday night, right, Jason?
Yep.
And then on the road at Upper Iowa and St. Cloud. And we're still in the race. We're at 4-1 in the NSIC. What do you think?
Well, you know, Minot's not a real strong team. They're young. They got a new coach. We should dominate that matchup. You know, hopefully Upper Iowa, we've handled them the last couple of years, and they've been very, very good, and they're very good again this year. I think they're ranked 6th or 8th in the nation, but we match up really well, and I like that duel. St. Cloud's the big one. That's a tough one for us. We don't match up real well. They're very deep. We got to put a good performance together, and we did that last year, and it came came down to the last match, and hopefully that's what it does this year again.
Well, a lot of wrestling coming in February, and it'll be culminated at the end of February by Augustana hosting the Super Region Championships here at the Elman Center. That's got to be exciting. Wrestling fans, you got to get over here, but your thoughts on having the chance to host?
Well, it's the best regional in the nation. You know, last year we had 36 All-Americans out of our region. I think we had 8 national finalists, so the wrestling's high quality. It's going to be a great competition, and then of course 2 weeks later the national tournament here. So we don't really have to travel, which is nice sometimes. You know, you get your own bed, but at the same time, you know, there's a lot of pressure then, you know, too, to perform well.
Last question here. Let's talk about that big national championship Division II coming up at the Denny Sanford Premier Center, March 11 and 12. We were talking, there's 6 mats that they bring in. It's going to be great seating. It's got to be exciting to have that in Sioux Falls with Augustana Wrestling.
It's exciting for the wrestling community to have something like that here. You know, we've never had or hosted anything like that before, and you know, we got the facilities to do it, so we're going to continue trying to get that, and hopefully it turns out well and we get a lot of fans and a lot of people. Our Midwest is known for the wrestling, so hopefully we get a lot of people around.
Well, it'll be great and exciting. So follow your calendar here, folks out there. The end of February at the Elman Center, Super Regional. 2 weeks later, national championships at the Denny Sanford Premier Center. Great wrestling team. Jason Reitmeyer, good luck to you and Coach Meester and the team.
Thank you.
All right, back to you, Carla.
Thanks, Bill. Well, up next, we're going to give you a full look at the Augustana athletic calendar. We'll be right back after this.
Moms and dads, want to make sure that your kid is prepared for school picture day? First order of business, our clothes. Help them pick out clothes and colors that look good on them. Because sometimes the picture shows more than just this, you know?
After all, you're gonna have that picture forever.
Remember, smiles are like French fries. They're better when they're fresh. Bottom line, the Life Touch team will make sure everything runs smoothly. So picture day will be fun and exciting for everybody.
What's up? Feeding my water softener again.
You should get Culligan water, man. My Culligan system is the world's most efficient water softener. It's
46% more efficient than your old softener.
Hey, Culligan man.
Nice.
And here's a look at the upcoming week for your Vikings. Keep up with all the latest information on the Vikings at GoAugie.com. I'm your host, Carla Metz. We'll see you next week.